What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the opinionated hippie, currently ranking and reviewing the 36 Dick's Picks release that the Grateful Dead released in like the 90s through the mid 2000s. I'm doing them in groups of 6 only because they were artistically themed in groups of 6. I've already done the first 6, which had this kind of red black, each had this red black artistic style. I'm going to do 7 through 12 in this video. After I do 7 through 12 and rank those from like 1 through 6, I will then just read off my list of 1 through 12, combining the first two lists, and then I will talk about, I will also rank the 4 dark stars that we have so far and keep a running list of dark star rankings. So yeah, that's it. All of these are good, so even the ones that will inevitably be at the very back of the list are still good and all have great moments. But yeah, like it's 36 really, really strong releases, and like the differences are really just kind of, I guess, personal ultimately. But anyways, and I started this channel to only do things Frank Zappa related. He has this concept of the big note. I've expanded that to include if he has a song, say, called Teenage Wind, and he mentions the Grateful Dead and says something like, I'm going to tighten my headband for an extra rush during Jerry's guitar solo, the Grateful Dead thus fall under the big note. So that's why I'm doing these. That song is on You Are What You Is, if you want to check it out and don't know what I'm talking about, because you're a Dead fan and not a Zappa fan. But anyways, yeah, so on to number 6 of 7 through 12. Number 6 is Volume 9. This is a 1990 release. This is with Vince Welnick and Bruce Hornsby, both on keyboards, piano and stuff. This is from Madison Square Garden, right? Madison Square Garden, September 16th, 1990. So we got a King Kong, I'm assuming, since this is in New York City, on his magic carpet. This is, it's a 90s show, so there are some good moments. It is kind of a puzzling choice. I have to think it has to be for these special moments that they picked this. But for the most part, it has that 90s sound. Bruce Hornsby does bring some nice, his interaction with Welnick, they do bring some interesting sort of different sonic templates than we're used to. But for the most part, I don't know, maybe it's just because this is when I was seeing the Dead. You know, this is when I was sort of in the heart of my Dead experience. And just looking at the set list, this is not something I would have been excited about at the time, set list wise. And other than these very 2 special moments, I don't think anything in this set list like goes above what you would expect from this song, if that makes any sense. So we get first set, the first CD is the entire, it's the entire show. I don't think anything has been left out. CD 1 is just the first set. Hell in a Bucket, Cold Rain and Snow, Little Red Rooster, Stagger Lee, Queen Jane, Tennessee Jed, Cassidy, a pretty good Cassidy, and Deal, a pretty good Deal. But again, none of these like go beyond what you would expect from any of those songs. It is kind of nice to hear a Stagger Lee, but I think the Stagger Lee might be the dullest thing in that first set. Also, Cold Rain and Snow. I love Cold Rain and Snow as an opener, and every so often they would throw it like third song where Jerry would do an opener, and then you'd get Bob would do like, you know, his answer to that opener, and then Jerry would do Cold Rain and Snow again, which I really liked that sort of, we're still in the celebratory opening phase. For some reason, I really don't like it when it's Hell in a Bucket, Cold Rain and Snow, which was kind of common. I don't like it following. I like it as an opener, not as a second song, because it seems like, nah, Jerry, you could have dropped like a Sugar-Ree here or something, which sometimes he did. But anyways, so an okay 91st set. Second set, Samson and Delilah. So this must be a Sunday, I'm assuming. I don't know what day of the week this is. Then an Iko Iko. So we have not had an Iko Iko released yet in this series. So that's kind of fun. That's kind of neat. But as someone who goes back and listens to Live Dead, Iko Iko is something I've always enjoyed in the moment when I'm at a show. It's not something I see on a tape. I'm like, I need to check out that Iko Iko. Fun song, but I don't think it has many secrets that it reveals. Looks Like Rain He's Gone, a pretty solid He's Gone that is a really good jam at the end of it, that is a very just like Phil, Vince, and Hornsby seem to be like the key drivers in this, and there's like no percussion for a while. It's a pretty interesting little jam that is essentially the end of He's Gone, but its index is the no MSG jam. So that's a pretty interesting little moment. I think a lot of from like 90 through 95, I think a lot of the Dead's best moments are those like going into drums type moments. This is one of those just great moments. And so that's CD2 and then drums. CD3 is Space. It's a pretty good space. I like this space. I'm a connoisseur of spaces more so than I am of drumses. I think this is a really good space. Into a not that good Standing on the Moon. Jerry seems kind of sleepy. It's not as like proud as it sometimes would be. It seems a little sleepy. Into something called Lunatic Preserve. And in a lot of these tracks, like the He's Gone into No MSG jam, it could have just been called He's Gone. Like if I was doing a tape, I would call it He's Gone. I wouldn't like label the jam separately, because to me that jam is essentially, it's part of He's Gone. He's Gone is offering us up that before we go into drums, even though it is different than the song. This Lunatic Preserve thing doesn't sound anything like Standing on the Moon. It really is like Standing on the Moon. Then we get this like crazy 5+ minutes of like 5+ minutes, I think is what it is, of just like crazy just noises and like crazy. No, it's like, yeah, 5.5 minutes. Crazy noises and sounds and sound effects. And it's just like very chaotic. The title Lunatic Preserve is what this crazy jam sounds like. Early on in it, almost as soon as like Standing on the Moon ends and you can feel this energy bubbling up, you can hear Bobby like start to play I Need a Miracle. Like he's like trying to get that energy, that drive going, that Nobody Bites. So we get this awesome jam instead, this chaotic jam. But then when eventually we do go into I Need a Miracle, into a pretty solid Morning Dew. Pretty good Morning Dew. It sounds pretty good. It's a nice way to end, take the energy from the Lunatic Preserve, kind of Morning Dew takes it and finishes strongly. And then a really nice It's All Over Now, Baby Blue to end as an encore. Good stuff in there, especially that third CD. I think that third CD, other than the sort of lethargic Standing on the Moon and whatever you think of Miracle, is pretty interesting. And everything pretty much from He's Gone on at the end of the show. There's some really good energy. But for the most part, doesn't do that much for me. I think there were better 90s releases out there. So, but anyways, it's number 6 of 7 through 12, volume number 9. Number 5 is volume 10. This is December 29th, 1977. It is a 3-disc set. At this point, making this list, this is just stupid. I went back and forth between this and what will be number 4 for quite a while, because they're both just equally fantastic shows, fantastic releases. But yeah, ultimately, I think the number 4 I like just a little better for maybe a couple reasons, but there's nothing wrong with this. Again, so I think the entire first CD is the first set of the show. Get a nice Jack Straw. They love each other. Mama Tried, Loser, really nice Loser. That's one of the things that helped lift this. One of the things that made it hard to make this decision for me. Looks Like Rain, a Tennessee Jam, a Mingo Blues, a really good Sugary. Not as good as the Sugary on volume 3, but a really good Sugary. Into Promised Land. Second set, which starts off on disc 2, you get a Bertha Good Lovin'. Kind of had a hold. This is kind of the reason it fell to number 5, because I'm not a big fan of Good Lovin', especially when they brought it back in the 70s, especially when it's after Bertha. No. So really nice playing in the band, but this run right here, this is the thing that made it really difficult for me to like decide like which one was 5 and which one was 4. Playing in the band, into the first China Cat Sunflower in like since 74, if I'm not mistaken, into I Know You Rider, into China Doll, back into playing, into drums, into Not Fade Away, back into playing. Like the first playing before they segue into China Cat is like 15 minutes long. And then the not fade away is like 10 minutes long. And then when they go back into playing, you still got like 4.5 minutes of them playing around with stuff. Just a ridiculous sequence of music. And then you jump to CD3, you get the end of that set with a Terrapin Station. Oh no, the encore is a Terrapin Station and a Johnny Be Good. And then they throw in some bonus tracks from December 30th. Estimated Profit, Into Eyes of the World, Saint Stephen, Into a Sugar Magnolia. Those are pretty good. I can't say either that Estimated or those Eyes are like the best of either one of those. Had those been better performances, maybe this jumps to number 4. But ultimately they aren't. They're good. They're great. I mean, this is 77 Dead. But I like 4 a little better. But anyways, the reason to check this out, everything is solid. Everything is well done. But that early part of the second set after the Birth of Good Loving opening, from playing all the way to when they finish playing, which includes drums and Not Fade Away and a whole bunch of crazy stuff. That is a spectacular run of music. But yeah, number 5 is Volume 10. And that's what it looks like. We got it's in San Francisco in the Winterland Arena. So we got ourselves a cable car with a couple bears on it. All right, on to number 4. Number 4 is Volume 11, September 27th, 1972. This is in New Jersey. So we got the Statue of Liberty. Look, and she's holding the tape. She's holding the show. Most of what ranks higher for me on these lists, as you're going to find out shortly, are the jams and sort of those moments that are between songs, those purely dead moments when we're not really sure where we are or where we're going. The reason I picked this one over the last one is not because of those moments, though. It's just because the track list, the performances, the energy, and yes, there is an amazing Dark Star on here, are just perfect. And so it's like there's so many little tiny moments that all together add up that make this slightly something I want to listen to a little more than 5, just because it's consistent from start to finish. This is the whole show. The first set is all of disc 1, then it's several songs on disc 2, and then the rest of it is on disc 3. So CD 1 opens up with Morning Dew. I always thought Morning Dew was one of those perfect songs to close a show with, because it seemed to like take all the energy of the show and just like funnel it through this one ending solo, and you got this sort of anti-release at the end, where it feels like you should be happy in releasing something, but then Jerry reminds you that it doesn't matter anyway, and you're like, oh, okay, it's not very celebratory, but it was a powerful way to end a show. It is an interesting, strange way to open a show, but a powerful way to open a show. Then you get a Beat It On Down the Line, a nice Friend of the Devil, a fast Friend of the Devil, Black Throated Wind, Teddy C. Jed, Mexicali Blues, a really strong Bird song. This is definitely one of those moments in this first set that lifted above other first sets. And then 2 just great song choices, a Broke Down Palace and an El Paso. We go on to CD 2, we get a China Rider, and then we get a really nice Playing in the Band to finish the set. Playing in the Band's like 16 minutes long. Just your nice, typical jazzy, exploratory Playing in the Band. Really good. Second set opens up with the He's Gone, of all things. Standalone He's Gone. Doesn't go into any jams. We got a Me and My Uncle, a Deal, a Greatest Story, a Ramble on Rose. Nothing really spectacular in any of those songs, but all just really good, well-performed songs that I don't mind hearing, over and over. And then CD 3 is kind of the thing that brings it all home. Opens up with a 30-minute Dark Star. And this Dark Star is in absolutely no rush to go anywhere. I don't think we get the one and only verse until like the 24, 25-minute mark. It's like a 30-minute Dark Star. It is, for the most part, a pretty kind of a melodic, I don't want to say chill, because it's definitely not as laid back as the Volume 2 Halloween one, but it's definitely not going to some really crazy places. Right before we get to the verse, after like 20 minutes, we do get kind of spacey, but we don't get that really deep, scary, dark spacey. We just get kind of exploratory spacey. Then we get the verses. Then things start to intensify for a while, but then after like 4 or 5 more minutes of just crazy kind of Dark Star exploring and, your typical between verse kind of kind of chaos, but not chaos. It goes into Cumberland Blues, and it is an amazing Cumberland Blues. And Cumberland Blues takes all that energy of the Dark Star, and Jerry is just like playing his butt off. It is amazing. Then they follow that with Addicts of My Life, which sounds gorgeous. Then we get a Promised Land. Bob, you need more songs. And then we get a nice Uncle John's band into a Casey Jones. The Casey Jones just feels good, has really good energy, and then an Around and Around. So if Bob had better songs to play at the end of these shows, this would be way up the list. But really, the second set's just a really solid, fun second set. But everything from Dark Star on, the energy from that is just fantastic. And I will tell you of the 4 Dark Stars where this one ranks when I'm done with all these videos. All right, but anyways, number 4, Volume 11. Number 3 is Volume 8. This is Harper College, Binghamton, New York, May 2nd, 1970. I know at one point there was a poll of like Dead tapers, or even like generally this is considered one of like the Dead's greatest shows. It's number 3 out of these 6 for me, mainly because it is not in the pocket of what my favorite era is. You will quickly find that out when we get to number 2 and 1. But also because there are really 2 songs on here that I don't like. I don't want to say I don't like them, but they really don't do much for me. And they're in the heart of like the second set. So that kind of like hurts. But other than that, there are some ridiculous moments on this release. The entire show, I think Cold Rain and Snow, one song which was played in the second set was left off, but you get the whole show. The first set is acoustic. Really nice to hear some of these songs in acoustic versions. I, for the most part, I'm not an acoustic music fan when it comes to bands like electric bands doing acoustic. Someone like Bob Dylan or Neil Young, who have like half their catalog is acoustic, that doesn't bother me. I like that. But when bands go acoustic, that's not my favorite thing. This is so much better than something like Reckoning. There is energy. This is a fun, very fun acoustic set. Don't Ease Me In, a standalone I Know You Rider, Without a China Cat, Friend of the Devil, Dire Wolf, Beat It On Down the Line, Black Peter, Candyman, Cumberland Blues, Deep Ellum Blues, Cold Jordan, and an Uncle John's band to close out. Some really good, just fun, solid, great sounding acoustic music. Second set is ridiculous. You get a Saint Stephen. We interrupt it like after like the first, like in the middle of like the second verse or third verse. We're missing the beginning, which kind of sucks, but still. Then we stop St. Stephen and jump right into Cryptical Envelopment. Then we go into drums. And then from this point on, the rest of the show, except for the 2 songs, is just ridiculous. They slam into the other one so hard. It's just like Phil does his bass run, drops the bomb, and they are off. And like the first 15 or 20 seconds, when they're just before Jerry really starts to take off, when they're just kind of establishing that dun 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 dun, dun, there's this weird, I think it's a Bob rhythm. I think it's a Bobby playing a chord. Maybe it's Jerry. That reminds me of Khan's You Do Right. It's just got that weird bum, bum, just this weird sound that kind of seemed to be pushing against the jam, but at the same time making it still sound even more intense. But this other one is just fantastic. It's like close to 15 minutes. It just hits hard. It is exactly what you want out of another one. That goes into Cryptical Envelopment, back into that. That has a nice kind of fade out jam at the end that eventually goes into Cosmic Charlie. And when Cosmic Charlie first appears and you just get that just building up that energy, that is a really nice segue. I don't think the song does much. Like once you get that intro and you get that energy going, I don't think there's much of a payoff in Cosmic Charlie. So that's always kind of disappointing me. That's followed with the Casey Jones. But then there's a Good Lovin'. I'm not a fan of Good Lovin'. It's like 15 minutes long. There's a nice little jam in the middle. But for the most part, this song just doesn't do anything for me. One of the reasons why this kind of fell to number 3 after that ridiculously great first start. And then we jump to CD3, and then it opens with It's a Man's World. Pigpen's singing this cover song. again, not something I'm a fan of. I just don't really like the song. There's some good playing in it, but it doesn't do anything for me. But then we get a great dancing in the streets, phenomenal dancing in the streets. I think there's a really strong Tighten Up jam in this one that's just excellent. It says on the box that it goes into Morning Dew. It most definitely does not go into Morning Dew. I want to say those are in different sets completely. But then after dancing, we get a really good Morning Dew into the highlight of the set, the Viola Lee Blues, which is just Viola Lee Blues at its absolute everything you want out of a Viola Lee Blues. It's like a 16-minute Viola Lee Blues. Phenomenal, well played, great way to end the show. After that's done, they go right into And We Bid You Good Night. Good night, and that goes on for quite a while, and the audience is having a good time. Great, great, great show, but it is number 3 because this Dick's Pick series is phenomenal. But this is number 3, volume 8. And it's got a skeleton wearing a green and red hat. I'm assuming those might be Harper College colors. But if anybody's from Binghamton and wants to know why you get a skeleton on your Flying Magic carpet ticket, let me know. Yeah, all right. On to number 2. Number 2 is volume 7. This is, what is this? It's from 3 shows, September 9th, 10th, and 11th in September of 1974, London, England. From what I can tell is it's not in any order. It's like you got some songs from this show, songs from this show, songs from this show. You can go online and figure out which is which, but that's not important to how ridiculously incredible this release is. Yes, it is sequenced to kind of feel like a first set on disc 1 and then kind of a second set on disc 2 and 3. There are some phenomenal jams on here. There are some weird names for phenomenal jams on here. This is one of those releases where like the Dark Star on here, I think is like 25 minutes long, 24 minutes long. And then there's a 7-minute track called Spam Jam. After that, that is essentially 7 minutes of Dark Star. Like, I understand them indexing it as a separate track for licensing purposes or money or whatever, but it's essentially a 31-minute Dark Star. They do that with Truckin', where there's a Truckin' and then they tack on like a Wood Green Jam, which is like just 6 more minutes of Truckin'. It's not its own separate jam. It's a Truckin' jam. Truckin' birthed this for us. Give it credit. But anyways, minor complaint. But 74 show, like what can go wrong? First set. You get a first CD, Scarlet Begonias. Love 74 Scarlet Begonias. I love the mix on this because a lot of times once they go into the jam in the Donna era, Donna would like, sing and sing like these, not words, but just sort of these like notes. And sometimes, a lot of times she was just a little too loud in the mix. She is so perfect in the mix here, not to say to bury her voice, but it adds to just the total kind of weird vibe of the beginning parts of the jam in the best way possible. I kind of wish she had done more of it and didn't like drop out. But really good Scarlet Begonias, got a Mexicali Blues, Row Jimmy, Black Throated Wind, a really good Mississippi Half Step, Beat It On Down, Tennessee Jed, then a solid playing in the band to close out the first disc. Like a almost 25-minute playing in the band. That's just everything you want out of a playing in the band. Just a really high quality, not a bad moment, disc 1. Disc 2, we get a Weather Report suite into Stella Blue, just absolutely perfect. Perfectly played Weather Report suite. The segue into Stella Blue is phenomenal. Jack Straw, Brown Eyed Women, Big River. Always question why we get Big Rivers. If we have 3 shows to pick from, why do we need more Big Rivers? I don't understand that. But still, it's a good Big River. Then we get Truckin' into this Wood Green Jam, like the 6-minute awesome jam, into a great Wharf Rat. And then CD3, Me and My Uncle, a standalone Not Fade Away, a really good standalone Not Fade Away. It's like 15 plus minutes. Then the Dark Star, into the Spam Jam, into Morning Dew. And the Morning Dew just, again, one of the times it just takes all the energy from the Dark Star. And it's like, yeah, I got this. But this Dark Star is very, another one of those that doesn't want to be a Dark Star. It's just like, wants to be improv and wants to be space and like, yeah, we played the theme. Let us just explore. And this exploration on this is pretty melodic almost the entire time. And it's just kind of exploring different sort of like rhythmic avenues and different kind of jams and stuff like that. And it seems like every 4 or 5 minutes it either like starts to simmer down a little bit and you can almost hear hints of somebody trying to like get us into the first chorus, say, hey, let's do this, man, let's sing the vocals, let's sing the lyrics, but then immediately someone's like, hey, I have an idea, follow me, and they run off in some other musical direction. And I think that happens for about 22 minutes. I think we get the verse around the 22-minute mark, and then the rest of it's just an amazing jam. And then after the jam, we go into Morning Dew, and then the closer is U.S. Blues. So just a ridiculously strong selection of material from 3 shows in September of '74. My number 2 out of these 6, and it is this one. We just get a little remnant of the flag there because this is in London. Yeah, Volume 7. And my number 1 out of these 7 through 12 is Volume 12. If you are familiar or have seen any of my Zappa videos, you know I have a fetish for a very certain year. Well, apparently that year also is a fetish for the Dead. This is a 1974. 2 shows from Rhode Island and Boston. 1 show from Rhode Island, 1 show from Boston. So we got a patriot there playing guitar. So it's material like roughly the first half of this 3 CD, like the first CD plus a little bit of the second, is from the Rhode Island show on the June 26th. The other half of that is from the Boston show, right, on June 28th. I wanted to fly out to the East Coast and see these for my 4th birthday. My mom thought I was crazy. She didn't even know how I knew about the Dead or what I was talking about. It was insane back then. But yeah, so this is everything I want out of a Grateful Dead CD show. 74 era, so it's perfect. Again, this is the 1 drummer era when it's just Kreutzmann on drum. Hart was not here, taking care of personal things. But it opens up with a jam, and this jam goes into China Cat Sunflower, and it's just how I want every Dead show to open. Just come out and just start kind of melodically, kind of mellowingly jam, and then find your way into China Cat Sunflower. And this is a great China Cat Sunflower. It's got that awesome jam in it, that sort of like Mind Left Body, which they label the Mud Love Buddy jam on here, but kind of like a minute and a half of that Mind Left Body jam, kind of neat little thing that they would throw in like the 74 era China Cats in their transition into I Know You Rider. So this is great. The China Cat Sunflower is well jammed out and really good. Yeah, that whole thing's like 11 minutes and 24 seconds long. Like it is a long China Cat. Into that nice little jam before they get to Rider. Then we get Rider. Then we stop. We get a beer barrel polka as the band's like tuning, and then they start playing that do 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 do. That goes right into Truckin'. After Truckin', Phil's trying to get them to play the other one, and I think he even drops. I don't think he starts. He gets a little solo at the end of the Truckin', like the little post vocal Truckin' jam, and he doesn't drop the bomb, but he starts playing on the bass, and they kind of go into it, but then immediately abandon it, like immediately, like we're talking, like they're not giving it a chance at all, and they go right into a Spanish jam, a full on like. The entire track on this, I think, is like 15 minutes long. I think maybe roughly half of that, maybe a good 5 or 6 minutes, third of it, is firmly rooted in like a solid Spanish jam. And it's called this because I think it's the same chord progression as the track Solia, S-O-L-E-A, Solia, on the Gil Evans, Miles Davis sketches of Spain. So it has the Spanish flavor as it is a sketch of Spain. But yeah, no, just ridiculous. And then that eventually goes into a War Frat, and that eventually goes into Sugar Magnolia. And then that's all from June 26th. That's the end of the disc 1. Ridiculous, almost perfect first disc. Second disc has Eyes of the World from that 26 show. Pretty solid Eyes of the World. Not phenomenal, but a really good Eyes of the World. Then the next song we get, and this is where the rest of the stuff's from the Boston the 28th, is Sea Stones. Phil Lesh did an album with somebody else who's Ned Lagan. I think that was who he did it with. Ned Lagan, is that correct? And it was Phil on bass, but kind of doing like bass tones and making sounds with his bass, not so much as just actually playing like bass runs or anything. And then this guy on like keyboards and synthesizers doing like very atmospheric stuff, doing like kind of sounds like Zonti's Serenade at times. The sort of Don Preston led jam that would open up the Mothers in '71 frequently. It has that kind of feel to it. There are shows where, during the '74 tour, they would do a first set, and then between the first and second set, they would do this Phil Lash Ned Lagan thing where they'd play the Seastone stuff. Sometimes, a couple times, the band came out and started jamming with them, and like it morphed into something else. This is just like a standalone, like 4.5 minutes of it. I like it. It's kind of like their version of Space. It's pretty neat. It goes well. After Eyes of the World, you get this, and then we go into a nice Sugar Mag. We don't go into, but then we get a Sugar Mag. We get a really nice Scarlet Begonias. Again, the '74 Scarlet Begonias, the standalone jams. They're not segueing into anything. The rhythm's kind of chaotic. Donna's doing some wailing early on. Really nice atmosphere. Big River. Don't know why. Somebody explain it to me. But then we get a To Lay Me Down. Another reason this one's higher on this list at number 1. Great song choice. Me and My Uncles are as egregious in this series and occur way too often on things like this where you have shows to choose from. I never get sick of hearing Me and My Uncles, so I will never complain about that song. And then we get a really nice Row Jimmy to end this set. But then CD3, we haven't even gotten to the good part yet. There's a Weather Report suite, and perfectly, beautifully played Weather Report suite. Then after that, and this is, the Weather Report suite is like 14 minutes long. Well, on the CD, it's 14 minutes long. But then there's a 28-minute jam afterwards that really belongs to the Weather Report suite. We're going to give it that. So this is essentially a 42-minute Weather Report suite. So we get the Weather Report suite, we get Let It Grow, and then after Let It Grow, we get a somewhat of a normal like jam, and then it just kind of like everything stops. And it's almost like the rest of this 27 minutes is in like reenacting like the birth of life. We get like these seeds sprouting roots. It feels like everything's kind of calm. And then after that happens for a while and things kind of intensify as roots fight for like water and air. Then the flowers start to pop up and it just feels like the music is like gently bringing forth life. It feels like the soundtrack to a Fantasia segment, in which the Fantasia segment is like documenting like seeds growing and sprouting and like spreading into the world. And eventually, once it is done exploring this softer area for quite a while, it definitely goes to more interesting, upbeat places later on. But it is just one of the most like carefully developed, slowly unfolding, like just delicate jams that just goes on and on and on. And it is like 27 minutes of just the Dead at their just freest and most like exploratory and just utterly perfect. The only bad thing is U.S. Blues follows that, and then Promised Land, but then we get a Going Down the Road Feeling Bad, and then we finish off the Sugar Mag, so that goes into Sunshine Daydream. By that time, I completely forgot about Sunshine Daydream every time I listen to this, so that's a really nice surprise. And then we get a Ship of Fools as the closer, which works really well as... I don't know if it's an encore. I don't think it was an actual encore. I think it was just played. But it works really well to close out this set. I do think that song would have been better served. When I was seeing the Dead, that was like an early second set number where all of a sudden, we'd get like, I don't know what we'd get. But we'd get a Ship of Fools for reasons I couldn't fathom why that would pop up early in the second set. As an encore, it works perfectly. This is probably... definitely out of the 12 I've done so far, my most listened to Dick's Picks. It might be, out of all of them, my most listened to Dick's Picks, but I absolutely love this release. My number 1 of 7 through 12, volume number 12. And I showed you the Patriot. So that is the ranking for 7 through 12. This is the total ranking right here for 1 through 12, combining those two. You saw my least favorite disc in this video. That would be number 9. The next three were from the first batch. Number 1 is 11, number 10 is 5, number 9 is 6. Then you saw these next two. Number 8 is 10, number 7 is 11. And number 6 is volume 2, that single disc Halloween show. Then the top 5, we have back-to-back 2 shows from 70, like 3 months apart. Volume 8, number 5, volume 4, number 3. That 77, volume 3, my number 1 through 6, is volume 3 is number 3. And then my top 2 are both from 74. The top 2 on this video, my overall number 2 so far is volume 7, and my overall number 1 so far is volume 12. So that is my rankings of all of them thus far. You saw them. And then for the Dark Stars, we've had 4 so far, 2 in both batches of 6. All of them are great. My number 4, I would say, would be the volume 4. It's the Dark Star that has a lot of different Dark Star flavors. Like, we're going to get spacey and quiet. We're going to get spacey and loud. We're going to just get weird, dissonant, jammy. We're going to get jazzy. We're going to get like tighten up, like feel good, melodic. We're going to go all over the place. A very fragmented energy. I think it's the energy is so fragmented. I think that's why it pushes it to 4. Number 3 would be volume 11. One of those that did not want to be a Dark Star and took like 25 minutes to get there. Number 2 is volume 7. The one that just flirted with it for quite a bit but never got there. And then my favorite still is that volume 2 from Halloween. Just kind of laid back, kind of chill, really strong tighten up jam. In it. Just feels very, very good. It's a Halloween, not of the scary sort, but of the like bobbing for apples. Uh-oh. Wow. Sneezed in years, it feels like a bobbing for apples face painting type Halloween Dark Star. But that's my favorite so far. So anyways, that's that. I'm done with this. Let me know why I'm wrong, why I'm right, what your favorite Dick's picks of these are, or if you go check any of these out because you did not know about them, but now you do, or now you're checking them out. Let me know if my ideas match yours or what you think and all that stuff. You know how it works. We're all adults here. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment, all that stuff. And until the next time, take care and peace.